everybody, my name is Chill10974. I'm a content creator here on YouTube, and I do feature a lot of World of Warships on my channel. I'd like to welcome you to something that's kind of new for me. I'm going to be instructing a little bit for those of you who are brand new here to World of Warships, or if you're considering to come and play World of Warships. Now, one of the things that I've seen all over the place is how to angle and how to use this class of ship, how to use that type of ship and everything else, but no one ever really tells you what happens when you actually download the game and jump into it for the very first time. Well, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to instruct you as best that I possibly can. So I'm in a division. I'm actually playing with my 5-year-old son, and he is so he's been playing World of Warships for maybe 6 or 7 months with me, and he is definitely getting a little bit better. He's moving up through the tiers and stuff like that, and you know, hopefully that's some of the stuff I'm showing him is taking with him. But where do you start? So once you download the game, you will end up starting here at Tier 1. You'll have a certain number of ships, you'll have a certain ships that you'll be able to go and get, and you end up getting a certain number of commanders, some very basic ones. But your very first battle when you go in is going to be here in AI. You'll play a few battles here in AI, and then it will open up another thing called Standard Battle, where you'll be playing against a lot of other live players. But to get you used to the game, and as you level up, they'll have you here. You'll be playing against bots. So, why is this important? Well, what it does, it allows you to get used to your ship, and some of the bases of the gameplay. Now, Tier 1 ships are, well, a little bit on the boring side, because you don't really have any class differential. You have different types of cruisers, but all you have is cruisers. There's no destroyers and there's no battleships, and definitely no aircraft carriers. So you basically going to play one type of ship. As you can see, I have all here are all cruisers. There's different types, like the USS Albany here, one of the ABC cruisers, built by the United States Navy near the turn of the century. This one fires only high explosive shells, so basically it can start a lot of fires. Then there's the Chikuma, which, if I remember correctly, has torpedoes on it. Oh, actually no, it doesn't, just all guns. See, it's been a while, so hey, I get to learn here too. There's a Weymouth, which is a British cruiser. Basically this thing fires only armor piercing shells. There's the Dresden, where you get your selection between AP and HE. You see the different types of cruisers that are here. So on and so on. So, once you've actually found a commander, so what you'll do, now I'm just using this as a particular way of showing you this. You take a look at this and you'll come into here. You pick your commander. Now, as you can see, the way this is broken down is that you have your inspirations, your base trait, and the different skills and traits on the right hand side. Now, at this level, you're not going to either have an inspiration on there, but you'll have your base commander, and then you'll have its base trait. So this commander here, let me show you who it is Norman Scott. Now, Norman Scott is a commander you'll end up picking up later on. Usually you'll start with Dewey, with Admiral Dewey, but in this case I'm using Admiral Scott. Now what you're seeing on the screen is a guise which you can then get later on, they'll offer them. But that's something we could talk about in a different video. So how do you achieve this? How do you achieve down here? So this commander here is rank 16 Legend 2. It's over time. You get promotion orders and stuff, and you can rank up your commanders as you go along. But usually your base trait is what you have at tier 1. And so with that, now why does that mean? What, you know, it does have a certain aspect of importance as you go along, being able to rank up those commanders, because you get different traits and they build up over time with the higher ranked they go. So the next thing you're going to do, in most cases, is that you're going to do this. Now, what you're going to see is that it takes you here, and then it gives you a little bit of a choice there. So you can see right here, targeting system MK mod, you know, MK1 mod 2. So what this does, it gives you a little bit of a buff in firing range. Firing range increase with a main battery firing range of 9.5 kilometers. That's as far out as the gun will go. Now, let me explain. These ships do not fire out to their full capacity. They fire out to the most effective range because of the size of the maps and everything else. But if you also notice, there's a white follow-through, so it takes you to the next class of ship, which is your Tier 2 USS St. Louis. So, how do we... And let's go through some other things. So, you go to your loadout. Now, this is what this ship has. Now, you could basically get away with the boosters. You'll gain these over time. You may get them through crates. You may get them... You can purchase them. You can... There's other ways you can get these. But usually... you may or may not have boosters. Depends on what you've done. But let's start right here. You have your ammunition. So what this does, it basically will tell you the type of ammunition, high explosive ammunition. It tells you what the reload time of the guns is. So the reload time of this ship, as I have it set up, is at 6.7 seconds. Maximum HE shell damage. Now this is the maximum damage that these shells can do. It's not the maximum damage that they will do. And that's per shell. So if you're talking about having a ship with 6 guns, you could do a maximum of 12,700 HE damage per salvo if, and I say if, RNG allows you. Now you have something called a fire setting chance. Now the fire setting chance is basically what is the chance of this ship actually starting a fire on its opponent. So it's about 10%. And then you have your total firing range of 10.5 kilometers. Now that's effective range. That's not the actual real range of the guns. That's effective range of the guns. Okay, next is your consumable. Now, this is your damage control party. Damage control party, what that actually does, it helps you accelerate repairs to damage modules. It puts out fires and stops floods. Now, it tells you how long that they last once you activate it, which is about 5 seconds, and how long it takes for it to come back, which is 58.8 seconds. Now, in the case of this type of ship, it's an unlimited amount of consumable of the damage control party. Now, you have to be careful using it. You have to know when to use it to make sure that you are trying to stop the maximum amount of damage. So, if you get hit and you have a fire, let that fire burn. It's a cruiser. It's not going to last as long. Now, if you get double fired, well, you can probably consider using it. But it really depends on how much health you have. But always be wary about using that. Even though you have an infinite amount of them, you still have to be very wary about when you use it, because sometimes when you use it to put out that single fire, next thing you know, you get slapped again. Now you double fired, and now those are going to burn and do a lot of damage. And considering this ship doesn't have a heal, that could technically be catastrophic. Now the boosters, when you do get them, gives you a boost in battle. So you have the common ship booster, XP booster. So it basically, putting this on, it helps give you plus 25% XP per battle for the ship. Now you have the common commander XP booster. So what this does is actually for your common commander, it actually boosts your commander XP per battle plus 50%. Then you have your global XP, which is a very, very important thing to have. It actually plus 100%. You have a rare credit booster. So basically is how you can increase the amount of credits you'll get. So it's plus 10%. And common battle boosters, which what this does at its fullest, let me show you. Oops, sorry about that. At its fullest, can give you extend your battery, your main battery range by 3%, and your maximum movement speed by 3%, and it takes off about 5 seconds for your consumables to cool down. So your consumables like your damage repair party. So these do have a little bit of an effect depending on when you put them on. You know, when you put these things on. And you can also convert them. But we'll do this in another video. This you may have if you pull a pack, but a flag of some sort. These things don't really do anything. They're just there for decoration. And camouflage. So you may get some of these, you may not. Most of the time, let's get these right here, you're going to get these 4 types up here. Type 1, Type 2, Type 3, and Type 4. So each one of these have a little bit of have some effect on the ship. So Type 1s, you put this on. What this does, it gives you a minus 4.5% detectability range. Now we'll get into detectability in a minute. But it helps keep your ship concealed just a little bit. So now you have your Type 2. So what this does, this gives you a plus 4.5% dispersion of incoming fire dispersion. So what it does, it helps the camouflage disperses, forces a more of a wider dispersion of the shells coming in to hit you. So the Type 3 camouflage actually combines the two with a minus 3 detectability range at sea. So that means that this is for another ship to see you, and it gives you a plus 3 on the incoming fire dispersion. Then there's a Type 4, which is this is the highest you can achieve for any camouflage. It is a sea detectability range of minus 4.5%, and an incoming dispersion rate of plus 4.5%. So this one you could probably want to use in lieu of having permanent ones. Now you can make permanent camouflages. There's other camouflages that you can get. There's an infinite amount that are out there. You can go out and purchase and combine and everything else. But that's something, again, for a later video. So another thing you want to start looking at is the specs on your ship. So survivability. Hit points. 11,500 hit points. Those are important. You want to keep an eye on those, because once you hit 0, you're pretty much gone. Now your armor, where it says right here, and you'll get to see this when we get to the armor section, is that you're going to be looking at this from 6 to 76 millimeters of thickness, and usually that 76 millimeters is either going to be around the casemates or the bridge. But this is also very important when you start playing a game, especially when you start dealing with shells, size of guns versus armor. Okay, artillery. So this basically explains what you have for guns. So you have a main battery 152 millimeter Mark 6. These are 6-inch guns, and you have 6 of them. So 6 times 1 tells you the total firing range is effective firing range is 10.5 kilometers. It gives you the reloaded guns, which we already did. And now this one, it says 180 degree turn time. That's your turret traverse. That's how long it takes. 18 seconds for those turrets to turn 180 degrees. And then it gives you the shell, what the shell damage and fire setting chances, which we've already gone over. AA defense. Now this one's kind of a touchy one because it tells you what the AA is for this ship. So if you end up getting, which you won't, but if you end up getting sucked into a game with it as an aircraft carrier, this is what you have for your AA. So you have 4 37 millimeter Maxim machine guns with an average damage of 10 per second with a firing range of 2 kilometers, so it's very close in. Maneuverability. So the maximum speed this ship can achieve is 20.6 knots. It takes 350 meters for a full 180 degree turn with a rudder shift time of 7 seconds. So it takes 7 seconds for that rudder to shift over. Concealment. Now this one tells when you get detected and how much leeway do you have before you get seen, and some of the different things that can happen that can cause you to be detected. So detectability range by sea is 7.9 kilometers, which is actually pretty good for a cruiser. Now, if you notice in the next one, it tells you detectability after firing the main guns go up to 10.5 kilometers. So that means when you fire your guns, you become become seen further out. And you're going to notice this, especially when you start playing battleships, that detectability range is going to go way, way up when you fire those big old guns. So when your ship is lit on fire, they can see you up to 9.9 kilometers. Now, from the air, detectability range by air is 5 kilometers. They can see you at 8 kilometers. And when your ship's on fire, also at 8 kilometers. Now, there's a guaranteed detectability range. Regardless, if you're within 2 kilometers, you're going to automatically see the ship that's near you. And if you're firing in smoke, you get a smoke firing penalty. So your detectability in smoke is 3.6 kilometers. So we'll skip past that. Now, this right here is your armor. Is the armor section. So you get to go and you can actually see where the armor is on this ship and how it's protected. Now, this is something I think that brand new players really need to go and look at. Because knowing the armor on the ship that you're playing is going to help you do things like angle and aim and other things, which is very, very important. So let's start with the thing that drives people crazy the most. You're going to see a lot of this, is called the Citadel. Now you see that orange, blue, and green? So you take a look at that, and if you look to where it says armor thickness, it tells you what the armor is. So at the top of that Citadel is 25 to 26 millimeters of armor. So that means that can protect you to anything up to 14-inch guns. So anything above that can go through that deck. So that means 15 and 16-inch guns can go through that. Then you see that orange piece there. What that does is that brings the armor thickness up to 34 to 75 millimeters. And that blue section down below basically tells you that the thickness is 15 to 16 millimeters of armor, and that's the front and back of the Citadel. Now, if you notice that it's just below the waterline, so if you're facing in Albany and you have armor piercing, that's where you want to aim, just at the waterline of the ship. That would give you a shot at the Citadel. Or another way is looking at plunging fire. Something where you can plunge in through the deck. So you can also take a look at the, now let's slap on this armor here and you'll see what I'm talking about. That's 6 to 14 millimeters of armor. So if you're firing at it head on where the shot can be plunging through, you can actually hit that citadel. You could punch it right through that 15, 16 millimeters of armor. You can also see that that's 76 to 160 millimeters is also around the armored conning tower. And you also have that 34 to 75 millimeters in and around the gun turrets. And now your deck armor is sitting at 10 millimeters. So this ship is definitely one that it can be susceptible to plunging fire. Now, you can go through every single ship on the game and you can actually take it through and put it up here, and you can actually look at the armor scheme of the ship. This is an important thing to learn. I think some people don't really know about this, or if they do, they're not utilizing it. So this will definitely help. And then you also have something called the overview. It gives you a little bit of an overview of the ship. So we're talking about the Albany. So reload. So it's got an above average main reload speed. It's slow because of the maximum movement speed, and then gives you a little bit of knowledge about the ship. So in this case, the Albany, the ship was built in the UK for the Brazilian Navy, but was purchased by the US government. When commissioned, the Albany was the most successful cruiser in the US Navy. Despite relatively small dimensions, she carried powerful armament. Entered service in 1900. There were 2 ships in the series. So they give you a little bit of history of the ship. So, I think it's time for us to get in and start playing the game a little bit. Now, again, you're playing against artificial intelligent bots, but this is where you start. You have to play a certain number of games in AI to be able to move on to the standard type battles against other people. All right. So again, my division mate is Batman, who's my 5-year-old son. We're gonna pick our ships. So since we've been talking about the Albany, let's play the Albany. All right. So what you're gonna do is now, since I'm head of a division, I'm gonna hold down the A button. All right, off we go into battle. So what it's gonna do, it queues you for battle. Depending on how many are in the server and stuff like that, it can usually take a couple to instantaneous to like a minute or so, especially if you're playing standard type battle. So we are on capture the base. So one thing you want to do is you want to hit that, if you're on the Xbox, you want to make sure that you hit that double square button in the middle of your controller, and brings up this map. Gives you the heads up display, shows you where you are, and what it also does, it shows you your teammates on the left hand side, the blue, and then it shows you on the right what type of ships you're fighting up against. It also shows you where your objectives are, and in this case it's the big red circle, so we want to be trying to capture that base. So on the right hand side you can hit your B button, which is going to bring your ship up to speed,
not because we claim freedom,
and then you just kind of move your camera a little bit. There'll be your right stick, which will be to help you look around the ship, and your left stick will help direct your ship left or right, or port to starboard. So now what we want to do is we're heading out. Now I'm in a cruiser. So one thing that cruisers are good for is high DPM output, which is damage per minute. And what usually these ships work relatively well with cover and flanking.
They've come in force.
So now I see the ships. Now you press the left trigger, which will bring it into focus. Right trigger to pull the right trigger for the shells to go off. There we go. So now that just shows we had 1 penetration on the Weymouth.
Cruiser in view.
So now I'm going to angle the shot. Fire again. Now battle is enjoined. Here we go. Have a little fun. There we go. We set a fire with 3 more penetrations. So you can see I'm moving more towards the flank. Now the other ship, now what I'm trying to do is I'm cutting the angle on the other ships. So I'm limiting who can fire at me. While I'm actually singling out that ship right there, the Weymouth. Alright, so we got one.
Their cruiser is done.
So now we're going to turn the ship around while we have the cover and we're not being spotted. So by the time we are spotted, the other ships don't have a chance of firing on us. So now we're firing on another ship. Now, those shots are not ideal. So I'm going to aim a little higher into the superstructure. Because that ship is angled to me. So now we got to fire. Now I want to turn the ship quickly since nobody has their full battery on me. So you want to be careful with the type of turning that I'm doing right now because I'm offering my broadside to these ships. Alright, so we need to help our teammate up here. So let's concentrate on the ship this ship over here. Oh, they got him. So I'm going to keep firing into the superstructure. And there we go, we got him.
Their cruiser is slipping.
So we continue moving forward. Also, another thing too, pay attention to that mini map so you know up in the upper left hand corner so you know where you are and what's going on. So now we're taking a little bit of damage here. That's okay. We got a fire on him, and as you can see that my division mate Batman has taken out that ship. So now we're going to clear we're going to come around this area here, and we're going to go. Now we're going to push the flank and put in some flanking fire on the enemy on this side. So again, so what I'm doing is by continuously clicking, it helps give me a better solution. Now if you notice, I aimed a little high into the front of that ship, which allows me to actually hit it. So putting that aiming reticle where you want it is very important. So now I have no shot on either one of those ships, but I do have some over here. So we'll turn the ship a little bit. Oh, and look at this. We got a Novik coming out. So let's head that way. It comes around. Now, if you also notice something else, I'm leading the ship a little bit. Very important that you put a little lead in. Now, you see that little white icon that keeps popping up, looks like a mountain. That means that the shot is obstructed. Ooh, we had a ram. So now I'm also in the base. I'm capturing the base. But if you notice, you see that down there, you see this little orange and red symbol with a ship in it. That means that an enemy ship is actually in the base, and this is contested. That means that we're not actually capturing the base, but we're actually able to do this. So hey, we got the win. Batman finished it off. Good job, buddy. So now you come to this screen, it tells you that you won, victory. Tells you base amount of credits that you received with your battle. Well, I had battle boosters on. And then your battle performance, how much damage we did, how many hits we had, how many ships did we spotted, how many ships we sank, and how many fires we started. So how did we do with the rest of the team? Well, let's take a look. Well, in this case, I came in third. It happens. And my son came in fourth. We would both with 2 kills. It gives a total amount of XP that we've made for that game. So I made 206 XP while my son made 196. Now, these numbers are going to change when you start moving into standard battle, these numbers are going to go up. They're going to go up a lot. So AI is someplace that gives you a chance to try out a ship. Obviously, when you're brand new, this gives you use of the game a little bit. But it also gives you a general idea of how the base type of play is going to be. But again, you'll learn more as you get into the standard battles, and we can be doing that as we go forward. And then you can also take a look at the economy. So it tells you basically how much you made. So I made 7,143 credits with a premium premium XP booster with 549, global XP 65, premium for my total commander XP is 732. So with that being said, this is the introduction to the game. This is where you start. Now, there's probably some things I haven't touched on, and I know that will probably be brought up in the comment section. But this should hopefully give you a good basic idea what to expect when you start to play World of Warships Legends. So, I hope you find this a little instructive, maybe a little bit fun. And I want to thank my my division mate and my son, Batman, who came in and played a game with me. So, if you're liking what you see here, make sure you hit that like button below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. Hit that notification bell so you know when the next edition or the next video is going to be coming on of the Chill Zone. And leave that comment down below. See if you actually like this type of video. And if you do, maybe we could try to start making some more and really start focusing on some of the very basic things that seem to get missed when it comes to playing World of Warships Legends. Hey, turn the tide.